How do you do, Bill?
Well, hello, Tom.
Hey, did you hear the great news? Frankenstein Minute has been nominated for a Rondo Award for Best Podcast.
The what has been nominated?
Frankenstein Minute, you know, the podcast we've been doing every week for over 180 episodes, you know, for the last, 3.5 years?
Oh, Frankenstein Minute. I'm sorry, I thought you said Frankenstein's in It, the podcast where we discuss movies that feature actors who portrayed Victor or Henry Frankenstein.
That's not a thing.
No. Well, that's why I was confused.
Are you not excited about the Rondo nomination?
Well, it is truly an honor to be nominated. But to be honest, do we really stand a chance of winning?
Well, sure we do. Frankenstein Minute is more popular than ever. And if every one of our listeners sent an email to taraco@aol.com with the subject line 2022 Rondo Awards, and in the body of the email include their own name and their choice of Frankenstein Minute as the best podcast, well, I think we're a shoo-in this year.
That's an oddly specific thing to say. You're recording this, aren't you?
I record everything.
Oh, Christ. You didn't record our conversation about the counterfeit vaccination cards, did you?
Again, just send an email to taraco@aol.com with the subject line 2022 Rondo Awards, and in the body of the email, include your own name and your choice of Frankenstein Minute as the best podcast.
That conversation was entirely speculative. I was neither advocating for nor indicating support for any type of illegal action whatsoever.
Sure.
How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of
The Son of Frankenstein. This one is probably just as bad as his father. Good morning, son.
Well, hello.
My son, you have inherited the fortune of the Frankensteins. I trust you will not inherit their fate.
By heaven, I think you're a worse fiend than your father. What are you going to do about it? There's a monster afoot and you know it.
Well, we've warned you.
You've been warned. Welcome back. Wait a minute, I thought we were done last week. Last week was the last minute. What are we doing?
This is now a new podcast.
This is the extended director's cut.
Director's cut, yeah. It's the German Blu-ray edition.
You've been warned. Welcome back to Frankenstein Minute, the podcast. Exactly. Dissect the Universe of Frankenstein. I'm Thom Lang.
And I'm Bill Evenson, and you're joining us for a spectacular minute as always.
Yep.
And this is why we're doing this Frankenstein film series, is it's just one spectacular minute after another.
Action-packed.
Listen to you. What is with you and the action-packed?
We clearly love action films.
This minute is minute 40 of Universal's 1939 film Son of Frankenstein, starring Lionel Atwill, Bela Lugosi, Donnie Dunnigan, Josephine Hutchinson,
Michael Mark, and Lionel
somebody
Belmore.
Safer Tits.
Gustav von Safertits.
Of Safer Tits.
What's she doing? That's what we want to know.
That's all we want to know. What's the big deal? Just tell us what you're doing. You go ahead and make the monster. It doesn't matter to us.
We just want to know.
I don't know.
You suddenly became Father Guido Sarducci.
I was going to say maybe baseball is very, very good to me.
A little more like it.
They've given up on even pretending they're testing or measuring anything.
Doing
It's
anything.
just, none of this makes any sense. He's tapping
gobbledygook.
on his thing. He's doing Morse code.
Sending a Morse
Things are
code
flashing.
thing.
Lugosi's staring off into space. He's getting treated for morphine addiction. He's completely superhuman.
Yep.
All right, follow us on Twitter.
Yeah, we had
Actually, I was going to mention Twitter. Let's do that now. This is great. Now is the perfect minute to show off to show Tom what he's been tweeting, because he doesn't know.
I have no idea.
His account has been tweeting. Okay, so
is that why I get emails telling me to stop?
Do you get emails?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm just fascinated by this idea. There's a Twitter account called Colorize Bot. And you send black and white pictures and see how
accurately
it turns out. And I tweeted 14 images of Boris Karloff as Universal's Frankenstein's monster in black and white to see if any. And I posted, let's see if Colorized Bot makes him green in any of these. So here's the first round.
Okay.
Is this here? I think you'll find that's not green at all. Well, it's very slightly off color there, but nothing.
Yeah.
That's kind of green. Kind of green. Not at all
I think
green.
that's more like, see, that's more
the
like
rug is kind of green
that's
here.
what it should look like, I think, is that
Yeah,
pale
I think
skin
you're right
color.
there. Here's some more. None of them green. Turned out green there. Actually, some of these are kind of cool, actually. So that looks kind of nice. But look at this one. That's kind of
cool.
neat.
Yeah, it's that.
I like that, actually. Him smoking a cigarette.
I have a big frame picture of that in my living room.
You do. There's one more. Sort of. Actually, that's pretty. They do turn out really cool.
Yeah,
and then that one's kind of green. It's like it tries to fill in a green background. And
Yeah,
a little bit spills into the skin.
his face. But it's kind of cool. Actually, it's like one of those Basil Gogos paintings. The way the coloration is.
That one's really nice when you say it like that.
You know what I'm talking about,
Some of
right?
these are, I think so. I'm trying to
He
remember.
did all the like famous Monsters of Filmland covers.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. That totally could be one of those. Yeah, that is really nice.
That's kind of cool.
So if you, this is great that we're
send me those if you
send
can.
you those. I will send you those.
Couldn't
You can just
possibly
go to
find them on my own.
Frankenminute at Twitter.
Yeah.
Wanted to make sure and get that out there that we actually did something on Twitter.
Okay.
Because that's the only way I know how to do that. I don't. The Colorized Bot is a Twitter account, so I sent it off.
Okay.
So there you go. That's item number one.
I think it's that pale dead flesh color that, like the ones I sculpted and painted, they're the pale dead.
Yeah, it generally the Colorized Bot. I love the fact that it's a bot.
Yeah,
like I tweeted that, and the response came back within a minute.
Oh, did it really?
A computer did that within 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All right.
Except unless you hate such things, because let's face it, someday it's all gonna. Are you aware of a TV show called The Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah.
You don't want to talk about that?
I haven't seen it, but I do. But yeah.
The last episode I could stand to watch has Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker from 1983, but it isn't. It's a guy dressed like Mark Hamill from from 1983, and then a computer made his face and a computer made the voice, and it's annoying as hell.
Is it bad?
Yeah, they just haven't got it down yet.
Is it worse than like the Carrie Fisher in Rogue One?
It's the same as Carrie Fisher. I think the Peter Cushing
one was
slightly better.
Cushing one didn't
because they didn't do the voice.
Right.
There's a guy doing the voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all the same. It's all garbage.
He is completely superhuman, according to.
He's completely superhuman. He's an enormous Schwanzstücker. That's what he means.
Yes. I suppose in all fairness, he would be completely superhuman because none of this is natural.
Yeah, he's supernatural.
I mean, it's scientific.
I didn't put this in my notes, but I think I meant to. He says something 8 weeks ago about he's got some scarring or whatever, some damage, just like a human being.
Tissue damage, like a
tissue jamming,
just like a human being.
You're like, well, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? He's a hamster? What are you doing?
I think, it's like they forget that Frankenstein made him out of dead bodies. To quote Frank Terry from
or to quote Colin Clive, that he found from the graves, the gallows anywhere. Yeah, that was a good movie.
That was a good movie. Can we go back and do that one again?
No, we're just steaming full speed ahead to House of Dracula.
Steaming pile, is that?
That's the podcast.
Yeah.
That's the title of this week's episode. A steaming pile of Frankenstein. I love. Okay, so what do you? I don't know. What do you got?
Nothing.
That?
I think it's a dumb
the
line.
Episode's over. Yeah. Okay, yeah, no. Oh, okay. I do think it's sort of dumb. It's fine. It's nothing wrong with it. But I also like Rathbone's delivery and the way it's framed. He's completely superhuman. He's very excited about this. I don't know if we really talked about this all that much in the last few weeks. He's really, this is it, man. Boy, he is really taking it in. He's really enjoying this moment that he's been waiting for, what it seems to be since his birth. He was born wanting to be his daddy's, to follow in his father's
footsteps.
His father's footstop. It just all deteriorates into nothing but young Frankenstein quotes.
Yeah. He's chuffed. Yeah, I don't know that he's like as excited as you say, but yeah. He's
that shot to me exemplifies that.
Yeah.
He's completely superhuman. He just looks like, look up in the sky. Yeah. He's got that note.
Yeah.
He's again. I think I said this before. He's the guy that I've heard on those radio shows. He just hasn't started doing those radio shows yet.
Right.
He's a radio guy.
Yeah, see, I've heard those, but I don't associate him with radio as much as I do with film.
Strangely, I think I've heard more of the radio shows than I've spent time watching those Sherlock Holmes movies.
Is that right?
I don't know why, but yeah.
Okay.
But it's the same notion. Even in the movies, he's Basil Rathbone.
He's a
he
little
talks like that guy.
Larger than life.
He's completely superhuman.
Then we lap dissolve to a moodily lit Benson and Wolf tilting the monster up with a fluoroscope device on his chest.
A fluoroscope, you say?
That's exactly what I say.
Boy, you ahead of me on this. This is fantastic.
Yeah?
I hope you got a lot of notes on the fluoroscope.
I do. Some.
Is it fluoride related?
No.
In some way?
No.
Can I just ask a question before you start?
Yeah.
Is this where he says, "Get your notes, Benson"?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's just said that 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Benson's got to be sick of this guy.
Like,
and then what I love about it is he goes, "Get your notes, Benson." Benson turns to get his notes, and he turns off the lights.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to do now, huh?
How are those notes?
How do you like that, Benson?
Those notes working out for you now.
Yep.
And Benson's like,
Benson's just
what an asshole.
suffering. He's constantly
Well,
suffering.
he kind of looks like it.
Yeah, he doesn't look thrilled about any of it.
Yeah.
And from his dialogue earlier, he's not, they call him much worse than that, sir. All that stuff. He's always kind of undercutting it, like, oh, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, the fluoroscope.
It's an X-ray process that produces live moving images of the interior of a patient to see real-time imagery of heart pumping or inner workings of a body.
That's how, when did they have that in 1939?
They had that back, the beginnings of it was in the late 1800s, actually.
Holy cow.
It's basically an X-ray source behind and a fluorescent screen up front. So the rays go through the body.
So behind the monster, beneath the monster
is
on that slab, or maybe the whole slab,
is an X-ray device.
A fluoro thing. Okay.
Yep. Frequently used in cartoons and Three Stooges shorts. I know that.
And Frankenstein movie. Well, maybe this is the only one where he does it. It's absolutely something that one must be concerned with, and so it's absolutely critical that everyone involved or nearby have the proper safety
equipment on.
So Wolf has got goggles, a sort of
apron
that has some like nipples, some like weird
it is an
like
odd looking thing,
metal nipples, shiny. Yeah, he's got a whole thing there, and he's got the big gloves on. He's got those big gloves on.
And Benson and Igor
have cancer.
Yep.
Yeah. Now I'm curious to see if Benson and Igor survive this film. To see if they make it
live
through the
on
whole
to their
film.
ripe old age.
Because they've been exposed to the fluoroscope.
Well, I'm sure not doing the monster any good. I don't know that they use it much anymore. I would think like MRIs and ultrasound and things like that have pretty much supplanted it.
I thought you were going to say, yes, I agree. Yeah, an MRI probably makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it's because an MRI is not apt to kill you.
Why do they still use X-rays for dental stuff?
I don't know. Well, they still, because like I've had my back
probably
X-rayed.
Expensive.
I've had my back X-rayed. We were talking about back injuries and things. I've had it X-rayed. There it was right now, creaking as I move.
That was your back. Yeah, people don't realize.
Yeah, it's not the chair; it's my back.
That's the real sound of Tom's nearly lifeless remains.
Yep.
As he struggles to finish 11 years of Frankenstein Minute.
Bullshit. Yet another weird cutaway to Igor because it looks different from the rest of the scene. He's not lit the same. The background is not the same at all.
That definitely happens. I had a note before I learned how the fluoroscope worked.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of fits in though. This fluoroscope in particular, I'm kind of curious. Does he have that thing like we said behind him, or is it just the monster's giving off so many gamma rays?
So yes,
we haven't gotten to gamma rays yet. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. He doesn't say it till later.
It's a while.
But he's giving off so many gamma rays that you just slide a TV in front of him, and you can see everything. Get your notes, Benson. And then the other thing is, as soon as it's like the worst exposure to the fluoroscope, then he takes his goggles off to look inside.
His face pressed up against the screen.
Yeah. It's not a lot of concern at this point for anyone's
health and safety. And even the music realizes that this is way off pace. This whole shot it's basically one shot with interrupted by a couple cutaways.
So this is Skinner's commentary on the
Yeah, because
film?
he's just sort of lazily vamping through it. Mm-hmm. Just sort of...
We had talked about, before we ever got to this film, years ago, and multiple times since, you had mentioned the block and tackle thing. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a long... We talked for 90 minutes about that.
There's even more coming up of it.
Yeah, no doubt. But like here...
So if you enjoyed that, you'll really love what's going to happen later.
Here they just turned the lights off on the film altogether. It's like, it's just like, it wouldn't be surprising to see it come up and say, you know, what's the word? I can't think of it.
Intermission.
Thank you.
Well, it could be because it takes so goddamn long.
End of part one.
It takes so goddamn long. It's like they shot a rehearsal because they're just puttering around, and he's going. We don't need to see. We understand at this juncture in history, even in 1939, I think people understood basically what a fluoroscope was.
Okay.
We don't need to see them tipping the table up and pulling back and just puttering around, and he turns the lights on, and he turns it on again, and it's so lazily shot and so off pace and so lethargically staged. I think this scene, this minute, exemplifies what's wrong with the film.
Okay. Follow us on
well, apparently Twitter, because it's fascinating.
Twitter, where you can see the different colorizations of this nonsense.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you don't have anything to argue that?
So my first thought is to say it's still all beautiful. Every shot looks like it was deliberately. So you're acting as if it was put together like an Ed Wood film or something. The way all this stuff happened.
It feels like
to me. It doesn't look like that.
It looks great.
I'm also kind of holding off because I'm kind of wondering if I want to just sum up the end of the minute generally. Maybe I should just do that now.
Yeah, because I don't have much else.
Okay, so I didn't know where you were at. So all this poking, prodding, measuring, and ogling of the monster. It's all of it is just fascinating to me. And so when he props him up and then turns out the lights, that's invoking something in me, right? These are dark films where things are done in the dark, and shadows are really important in all these films. You look like you're about to fall asleep.
Kind of am.
What a great podcast. and this contributes to it. A guy actually just turns out the lights, and now it's nothing but shadow, and all you've got is just these hints of what I consider to be iconic figures. The monster is obviously the big one, but also Igor is there. Igor kind of drifts in from the right side of the screen.
I don't disagree with any of this. What my problem is that it plays out so lazily, and the fact that we don't need to see every step of it. It could still look gorgeous and still convey this information much more economically than seeing him stumble around to putter with the stuff. And so it's just
I'm going to make it worse for you now. Now you're probably this is probably the last episode of Frankenstein, because you're going to you were already on the, you already had a foot out fence, you already had a foot out the door, and now I'm going to invoke,
gonna kick it.
You guessed it, Doctor Who. But like a big criticism of different eras of Doctor Who are that they will bring back things that were in the show before. The doctor, the whole idea of Doctor Who is very sort of it's an easy thing to do. Even like, well, we'll bring back the Cybermen, we'll bring back the Daleks, and when it gets into it's sort of what some people consider to be the worst of it is when there's just characters just talking about things on the screen, and some of the best sort of parodies of it are long-winded explanations of the Doctor, his home, his machine that he travels in, his enemies, all this stuff. And this is where we're at now in this film, and I guess that's the thing about it. Whenever you talk about it's lazy and it's not well thought out, it does. Maybe a better explanation is the notion of a fan film, and there's a lot of Star Wars fan films because you can get your computer can do lightsaber effects pretty easily. Right. It's like that. It's a fan film, and that's the way this looks to me. And this was the gist of what I guess I was getting at, which is you've actually got a life-size Frankenstein's monster figure, and it's Boris Karloff. Like there's a part of me that'll never get over that, and I'll never be able to look at this and go, well, I just wish they would have done this faster. I wish they wouldn't have shown me how they pulled him up on the chain. I don't need to know how a fluoroscope works. All that stuff. It's like, no, I stare at it. It's beautiful to me. I guess, and because I'm that particular kind of nerd, and I'm not trying to defend it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say that's where I'm coming from. I think that I probably have bad taste in that sense. That I'm willing to love that. Like, I had a friend that did write a Doctor Who fan fiction story, and he sent it to me, and he said, I tried to write the worst fan fiction I could ever write, and I said, I think it's amazing. It's so good. Like, some fan stuff that is just clearly pointed at, like I said, a group of guys with the largest Frankenstein figure you can get,
and
pushing it around on a slab. I can't get enough of it.
Really, because I just think
This is the best part of the movie. I don't know why you don't like it.
It's just unnecessarily padding it out. It's just taking so long. We could have dissolved from he's completely superhuman to the lights are already out and he's turning on the fluoroscope. We know exactly what is happening.
5 or 6 weeks ago, I said to you, in response to you saying that, well, we could skip this whole movie.
Well, absolutely. We could skip this whole series. If you really want to
well, then what are we doing, Thom?
No.
I don't know why. I don't know why you don't like it as much as me. I wish I could make you like it more.
Maybe
but
I would
this
if
is
it was
good
shorter.
to me. This is good. I don't watch this minute and wish it was shorter.
Oh, because I think it's just far too slow, far too.
There's not a lot happening.
There's nothing happening. That's
what
the
needs
problem.
to happen? Okay, so I see. Okay, I will concede that in Frankenstein things happen. That movie's perfect. Then in Bride of Frankenstein, more things happen that are interesting, and that makes it more interesting because more interesting things happen. And that's not what this movie is. No.
Right.
This movie is. Well, some interesting things happen.
Yeah, but they happen in amidst things that aren't happening. It's just this could be sped up, and I'm not saying it needs to be action-packed or whatever. Just the pacing is so wrong throughout most of this film, and it's because of the way it was shot. We ignored the script, and we're making it up as we go along, so some of it is that. And it's also, it premiered 8 days after they wrapped. So there wasn't time to do any kind of tweaking, and this is basically a rough edit. This is like the 11-hour Apocalypse Now.
I have irrefutable proof that you are wrong.
Okay.
There are fucking apparently 90 different versions of this film. They were editing it all the time. I can get a longer version if you want. I got it. It's coming. By now we've probably received it. There's tons of edits of this film, and this is the shortest. Well, this is the second. Okay, this isn't the shortest.
Tons.
Point
There's
is
3 that you know of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
The Castle film Super 8 version was the best one yet.
We agree. It has a good introduction.
Long.
Here's the other thing that's great about this minute in particular. It is, along with The Invisible Ray, the birth of an entire genre of films. Like, you're going to see a guy that looks like, I'm pointing at the TV, a guy that looks like that with an apron on and goggles and those gloves, just like Invisible Ray.
You're saying it's the birth of science fiction films?
No.
Or Mad Doctor films?
I guess so.
I can argue that and say
maybe birth is the wrong word.
Metropolis.
Birth is the wrong word. Well, Metropolis to me plays completely differently. Metropolis to me, again, is more just Metropolis is a precursor to this, but it works for me differently because it almost feels like more raw sci-fi because it's so early. It's like, I don't know, Mary Shelley was probably still alive when that came out. I don't know. When did she die?
1850s.
Yeah, what am I saying? Yeah, yeah, you're probably right. But
she would have been over 100.
Yeah, okay. But she could have been.
Just a guess.
But the point being, it's very, very early on in that, and that to me feels like someone trying to. Yes, I suppose Metropolis is more of the inventor of that. But this part, the way this looks, and the way to me Invisible Ray looks, it's Karloff walking around in the same kind of outfits. Yeah. That's going to be repeated in in the 50s.
Yeah, I'm not saying
the reason is because it's fucking great.
I'm not saying lose this entirely.
Okay.
It just needs to be tightened up.
Well, again, we've now established ourselves at opposite points. I was no longer trying to argue with you. I was just trying to say, here's another thing that's great about it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. Fuck you, and you're wrong, and I'm right. I'm not abandoning the argument.
No, all right.
But it is all those things. Like, when I watch this, there's a reason it's on the box, right? There's a reason why he's got the head mirror.
You could say the same thing about Frankenstein.
Sure, Frankenstein's a part of it too. It's part of that whole series.
Frankenstein established this 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. It's the same look. He doesn't have the head mirror, but other than that, it's the gown, the rubber gloves, the whole thing.
I suppose.
And the lighting lighting and the angles and all that was all there in 31.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I guess
This is
the goggles are new.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, I see your point. But it's still part of that same. But for you to say that is only in my mind to reinforce that it's part of that same tradition of what I love about these films.
Okay.
You know, and I don't
get
need
that.
it to be anything else than that.
Okay.
It's certainly going to get worse.
Oh, absolutely gets worse. Yeah.
Like you'll be longing for minute 40 when we get to. I don't know.
Really? I don't think so.
Well, I think on some level because
I remember when we get to like minute 53, 54. Yeah, I will be.
we looked ahead, folks. Yeah. Minute 54 is.
It's going to be a tough haul.
It's going to be a long minute. It seemed to be about 2 minutes.
You know, it was only one. Yeah.
It was just the 1 minute.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, it didn't seem like it. I think you made a mistake.
No.
Anyway, my overall thought about this minute and about what happens in it is that it's fun to sit, like I think I said this a few weeks ago. I know I said this a few weeks ago, probably 4 weeks ago, that Lugosi pushing on the monster, or Lugosi pushing on Karloff's chest does not contribute to doesn't help in anybody thinking that the monster is just a prop at this point.
Right.
He's fully a prop. And like I said, we've got a life-size Frankenstein monster, and it looks great. He looks great.
I'm not arguing any of that.
I know.
I agree with that.
Am I just repeating myself?
Yeah.
All right.
I agree with that, and I'm repeating myself by saying it just needs to be tightened up.
Okay.
It could trim some of this fat because it's not necessary. And I know, okay, yeah, the film itself isn't necessary, but we're talking about the film. So within that sphere, a lot of it could go and not to the film's detriment. It just needs some tightening. It needed a preview, and they needed to do a quick edit. I'd say the same about Forbidden Planet. It's one of my favorite movies. It is loaded with scenes that could be cut by a third at least. Okay. Because it basically had a preview. Oh, that looks great. Everybody loved it. We're done. And the editor was begging to go in and do a tightening. And they said, no, don't need it. It just needs that one more pass through the moviola to tighten it up.
Can't wait to get that extended German version.
Can't wait till I cut this down to 75 minutes.
You're going to use the footage from the 75 minute, from the German Blu-ray to make the 75 minute? You never know. Yeah. Some of it's not high quality.
Yeah.
So you come to it looking for something different than what I come to it for then. Because this section where they're prodding the monster, the big action figure, to me is as good as anything in the series. Well, from here on out. If you remove the first two films from consideration.
Okay, fine. Yeah, then sure, but that's not fair.
Well,
it's still too slow. It's still too plotty.
Okay.
It's still too fat.
I don't know. So like you look at that shot where he turns off the lights on Benson and you go, cut 5 seconds of that here and there, that kind of thing?
No, leading up to him turning off the lights, that could all be cut.
I suppose he does say, get your notes, Benson.
He says it twice.
Yeah, and he already said it.
Yeah. And that could all be cut up till the point where he turns out he's completely superhuman. And we dissolve to he's just turning off the lights because we know what's going to happen. We know what that machine is. We don't need to see them tilting it forward and moving everything into place and puttering around with his back to the camera so we don't even know what he's doing. We don't need any of that. Cut away to Lugosi for no reason other than to give him some more screen time, I guess. All that could go and we would still have the same information we have now.
See, I also tend to look at lost footage as being so precious, right? So if you had cut this movie to 75 minutes in 1939, and then suddenly we had this version, like having the extended version we have already is exciting to me.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I don't disagree. I'd love to see the 98-minute version of Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'd love to see it. Would it be better? I don't know, because sometimes it's true. Less is more.
It's what we have. Here's a thing. Mark Lewison, who is in the process of writing the definitive biography of the Beatles, he's written a third of it, and he's going to spend the next 2 decades writing the next 2/3. Apparently will go to give talks, and one of the things he likes to say is, who here likes Magical Mystery Tour? And 2 people raise their hand.
Sure.
And then he says, it's more Beatles. Like, if you're a Beatles fan, why would you give up? So you can sit there and say Magical Mystery Tour is garbage, because so much of it is.
Yeah.
But when you're watching it, Ringo is there and he's drunk, and it's like it's more Beatles, So when you're talking about trimming this film in an abstract way without actually having done the trimming. Unless maybe you should actually do this editing to show me. Because when you're talking about it, you're talking about a minute we just watched that has Bela Lugosi as Igor and Boris Karloff as the monster in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all of that has to stay.
They would still be there.
It should be longer.
They would still be
I'm like
there.
Ian Levine. That's for my Doctor Who friends. Sorry. Ian Levine likes to make extended versions of Doctor Who. It's awful. It's terrible.
Yeah.
If it can be a minute longer, he'll make it a minute longer. So there is something to be said for that.
Brevity.
For brevity. But we have so little Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi and almost none of it in Frankenstein. This is the only movie we have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
follow us on Instagram.
But if Karloff was doing something, great.
Well,
if Lugosi was doing something, sure. They're standing there. They're lying there. They're not doing shit.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
But it isn't a difference, really. It's like we talked about before. We're disagreeing, but we don't really disagree.
Yeah.
You don't really want this to be burned.
No, not at all.
You're happy to see as much of it as you can see.
Well,
You're
certainly, I'm just saying
it'd
that
be a better film.
It'd be a better film were it tightened up.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that.
Okay. Good enough. Yeah.
Follow us on... don't follow us anymore. We're sick of it.
Sick of looking behind my back.
Yeah. We have a Patreon. If you were to be so inclined, you could sign up to be a friend at the friend level on Patreon. That's $2 a month, and you get every episode a day early, so you can understand what those graphics are.
Doc Ivan is doing on Thursdays.
And then you also get a bunch of bonus stuff, like Tom and I arguing about which is the worst of the Mexican films that Karloff made.
We weren't that far apart either.
No, I think we agreed on the two best.
Two best.
Maybe not, though. I think one of your favorite was my least favorite, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
We're roughly the same. And then we did the same for our top 10 favorites. Karloff films. Looking back, this has been a very consistent thing, because Son of Frankenstein is my third favorite.
Yeah, and it didn't even make my list.
It didn't even make your list, yeah. God, you're so wrong. I don't know why you keep doing this. You're such a wrong person.
Oh.
All right. But that's something you can have immediately. You sign up, download them all, and then quit, and you get them all. See ya. See you next week when we do minute 41 of Son of Frankenstein.
Which is a repeat of minute 40.
Did you already hit stop?
Nope.
Can't disagree there.